Hello, everyone. My name is Nadene Boothe, and I am the Recreation and Varsity Soccer Coordinator at the Trafalgar campus. Today, I'll be speaking with the Dean of Student Affairs, Maria Lucido Bezely, about the current new normal, as they like to call it, and the impacts COVID-19 has had on the student programming within athletics. It's not even morning. Good afternoon, Maria. How are you?
Good afternoon, Nadine. I'm doing really well. It's really nice to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. It's nice to see faces, even if it's over
It is.
Zoom.
It really is.
Agreed. So today I just want to ask you a few questions, keep the students going about what's happening within athletics, what's happening within campus affairs and that sort of stuff. So I just have a few questions for you. First, we'll start off with, what are your thoughts on the 24/20 campaign that athletics is currently running over Instagram?
Well, I'm actually pretty thrilled with it. It is just so traditional and very typical of our athletics and recreation team and our Bruins to always be proactive and to really do whatever it can to support students in terms of the community engagement, in terms of a sense of caring. We're all Bruins, and we've been working as a college, and in certainly our athletics team, a big part of it, in trying since we've closed our campuses, how do we stay connected to students? How do we show support? And how do we build a virtual community? How do we keep the virtual activity going in a remote way where we're all working from home? How does that need to happen? We want students to feel supported. We don't want them to feel isolated. And how do they experience being at Sheridan in a different kind of way? And so this was, the 20 for 20 is really a part of that, and a big part of that. So the idea of reaching out and providing virtual support around how to stay fit and staying fit, whether it's Zumba or yoga or some of our recorded fitness classes, or whether it's information about health and well-being and giving tips from that perspective, or some esports events and ways for folks to stay engaged, right? And so I've talked to so many, connected with so many students and faculty and staff who are all into, well, I was into boot camp, and have you gotten with staff as boot camp before? And so there's just this semblance of community and engagement and being on campus. And as well, what is really characteristic of Sheridan and the Bruins community is that sense of caring. So, the approach to community outreach to food banks, for example, and just role modeling that sense of giving and social responsibility, all that we believe in. I think that was incredibly important. And as 20 for 20, our athletics team have joined into a broader campaign across the student affairs colleagues to reach out to students, just to call and see how they're doing. We called it our student outreach, wellness and outreach initiative. And everybody on the athletics and rec team participated in reaching out to 20 students, making sure that they're okay, finding out how things are going, connecting them to supports or the things virtually that we have for them. And if they had questions or they needed help, we connected to where they wanted to go. So, and again, as we worked through the initial shock of self-isolation right through to the spring and summer, and as we think about the fall with so many new students and returning students getting back to their studies or starting their studies, thinking about how we build a virtual community and an engagement, both physical fitness, social wellness related, how to connect with other students and peers, all the spontaneous things that we want for our students. The athletics and rec team is a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking about the virtual and all that, what do you think the type of academic delivery we'll see in the fall? What do you think that will look like?
Well, there's been so much planning and scenario building around what that could look like. And so the way in which we're moving this fall is as follows. We will continue to have modified program delivery. And so virtual learning in all courses where the learning outcomes can be met that way.
Right.
And in courses where they can't be, so labs, for example, or studio work, those courses will happen on campus. We are really, the safety of our students and our community is our top priority. So we won't have a lot of students and courses running on campus, but we certainly wouldn't run the risk of compromising the learning experience for those courses that need in person. So those will be done in person. So it'll be a combination. But when we think about virtual, I know it's interesting. I've talked to so many family and friends who are in high school right now and graduating from grade 12 and have had, it was a bit of a, shock to the system to go right from being in class to being online. And I think that some of them may not have had the best experience with what they consider to be online learning. But what I do want to say is that the virtual learning that is being, in courses that is being developed and delivered now there's some really very interesting things that are happening so that there is real engagement and meaningful learning that happens. Even if it's virtual or remote, the technologies are quite something. Simulations, for example, and asynchronous learning. So that is, the faculty are working uber hard to make sure that we can provide as meaningful an experience in this virtual space as we possibly can. And then for those of us who work outside the classroom, a lot of our efforts are right now again going into how do we provide all of the supports, the information, the mentoring, the transition and orientation and preparation stuff.
Yeah.
How are we doing that, and how are we doing that virtually? So we are all support staff and student development employees are all functioning virtually. So we're here. We might not be on campus, but we are fully remote and operating for students.
Perfect. Okay, speaking of students and being on campus, we know that you're a big Bruin fan. What is it about our varsity programs that you love so much?
What do I love? So much to say. So what I love about our varsity program is certainly the passion, the talent, and the commitment of our varsity athletes around their personal best, but the team's best. So watching students in action, just around striving for excellence, and it's not about me, it's about we, is so it's so heartwarming. And to see the talent, it's quite something. To watch our coaches work with our students, not just about being their personal best and not just about being the team best, but also about being the best they can be as people. You know what? Where students aren't heads, on sticks. We're whole people. The talent as athletes, the importance of being a student, and just the whole person. There's lots happening. So just that sort of that life coaching and seeing some of that in action is also quite something, because in the end, the experience of being a Bruin and being a varsity athlete, the idea is it changes lives and it increases, it increases the success beyond varsity athletes and beyond graduation. What I also love to see is the commitment that we have with our Sheridan Bruins varsity program, the commitment to academics. That comes first.
Yes, definitely.
So, study, compete, succeed. You want to be an athlete, you've got to keep those grades up. We want you to be your personal best. We want us to be our team best. We want to win.
Yes.
But not at the expense of your studies.
That's it.
That really matters. So that level of pride, any of us that are associated with the varsity program, the amount of pride we feel around that, the integrity that has, that's huge.
Yes.
So I love that too. I love that in a big way when we see the end of the year banquets and how many of our varsity athletes are high academic achievers and honor students. How many of them are peer mentors and tutors that are helping other students, that are student leaders and helping others. I love that, our varsity program also drives the commitment to social responsibility and the work that our varsity athletes with their coaches do within the community.
Yes.
young students, public school students, disadvantaged communities. It's the whole package. And then to see them on the court and know that all of this stuff is also happening behind the scenes, it's a beautiful thing.
All right. Yeah. So we touched on varsity. Now we're going to change the pace a little bit. We're going to go to Happy, Healthy, Fit and look at our recreational, programming. What are you hoping to see from Recreation and Wellness, that initiative, in September?
Well, more of what we're seeing right now, and continuing to build. So I've been really appreciative, very proud, and impressed with how much our athletics and recreation team has been doing they've been so nimble just to flip. And it's never been, what can't we do because our campuses are closed? It's what can we do and how will we do it? So I think that more of what we're seeing now in terms of virtual and interactive programming for students to be able to access virtually. I think that's a big one. So what can we be delivering that is live FaceTime, whether it's fitness classes, and I've attended a couple, and so it's great when Mustafa and others are just saying, leg higher, you
Yeah.
could do that better, right? There's
Yeah.
that, but then also opportunities where we have virtual programming where, it could be that a student really isn't able to access that class during the day because they're in classes or because they've got children, and when they it's not till the children go to sleep that they can engage.
Yeah.
So to be able to provide, a programming and sense of community to meet the needs of students where they are and at different times.
Makes sense. All right. So now we're going to dig a little into you and see how you're doing. What have you learned to appreciate most since being in quarantine?
It's been a journey, hasn't it? So, what I might have felt at first, was a sort of that whole shock piece, and now we've settled into a temporary normal, I suppose. What I think is I've learned to appreciate how important it is to be healthy, and how the biggest gift we have is our health, um, and caring for ourselves and others. So I've really, we always say that your health is most important. It's everything, but do we really actually live that necessarily? So it's really been a good time of reflection, I think, from that perspective.
Yeah.
I've learned, which I already knew, how much of my energy and drive comes from the energy I get being amongst students, walking, on campus, and just being surrounded by the students, and how fueled I am by that, and how much I actually need it. I always knew that. And so finding different ways to get that energy is where I've been at. So, engaging with weekly groups of students so that, we keep our finger on the pulse. I've learned to appreciate that you can actually do more remotely than I realized.
Yes, I agree. I didn't know half of the things that are out there that allow you to be so virtual. So I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, um, and I feel I've actually been more conscious about being grateful for so many things. Right, I'm really grateful for the work I have. I love this job, and grateful to be able to continue to try to make a difference in spite of these times, and really look at solutions for our students. Grateful that I know I'm going to be able to get back into the sort of land of the living and get back to working and being with students and the people that support students. I'm also really grateful for the people that I work with. And, in spite of all this, 2 days, we're all working from home and completely rethinking and changing the approach to helping students. The folks that we work with, it wasn't just, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's okay, how are we going to do this?
Right.
How are we going to do this? And so I'm so grateful for that. We hire for passion, right? We hire for commitment and talent. And so it's so great to see that at work. And in some respects, we've become even a tighter village within the Sheridan community because everyone's connecting to everyone else. Okay, so athletics, what are we doing in athletics? Health center, what are we doing? Student union, how do we need to be doing that? Counseling, what's happening here? Academic advisors, what can we be doing? First year transition and orientation folks, and everyone becomes a team. And so that has been, I realize is sometimes in times of crisis, you get the best out of people.
Yes.
And in all of this, I think that we will have built, virtual modality that we've always wanted to, and we'll be able to keep some of that when we get back to campus. So in the end, more access to our programming and to our support for students. So, and I'm really grateful for that too. And I'd be amiss by saying, if my family heard me, they would say, well, where's your family and all that, being grateful? And I continue to be really grateful that I have family that I love and that we get along with, and that we're all healthy through this time.
That's good. It's a lot, but I'm sure that a lot of people feel the same way you do, right? There's so much to be appreciative for that we not necessarily took for granted, but we overlooked, right?
Yeah. We're in a rat race, right? Okay, we're going, and it's happening. But then to take a step and just reflect back and go, oh,
Yeah.
that was really good.
That was, yeah.
I'm lucky.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's been good. But I'm not going to lie. I cannot wait to get back to campus. I can't wait. But in the meantime, we are going to try to make, being the virtual experience being as close to being on campus as we can.
Right. Okay. Well, you spoke about missing the students, which we know has always been a big thing for you. You always talk about how much you enjoy seeing students, interacting with them in hallways and that sort of thing. But what else do you miss about the students and not physically being at work? Because you're definitely still working. We know that. You're on the clock a lot. So what else do you miss about not physically being present at work and being around the students?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's working on projects with students, and having hearing about a student challenge, a student issue, and then engaging in the moment, right? Like those kinds of spontaneous things that are just happening because you happen to be on campus. And having, I've always said that, so I have been a student my whole life, and I've been working with students my entire career. So either advising or, in a bunch of different capacities. And so what I miss is that when I engage and interact with students every day, I just learn something new all the time from them, from their perspective. And I never take it for granted, but it's just that well that's always there, right? You go in the cafeteria, you can sit down and find somebody walks into the center, or you meet with a peer, or you're in student union, or you go to the athletic center, and you just have to be working out, and you're going, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I think that's what I miss the most.
Okay. Yeah, definitely the student interaction. I've actually found over the last couple of years with our departmental meeting or student affairs meetings, I found it very beneficial because being in the athletic center, I mean, we see similar students, right? Who come through. So I found it very beneficial, or even just enlightening to listen to when you have the student panels. They come in and they talk about their experience at Sheridan, right? So especially from the international perspective, I think it's been great to hear their points of views and how Sheridan has impacted their lives or the people at Sheridan. So I definitely agree with you. I miss student interaction a lot. So I see where you're coming from.
But they keep it all real, right? They keep it all real.
Yes.
And, I folks in our line of work, we make it our business to stay connected with, and keep our pulse on the students, who they are, where they're coming from, where their preferences are, the world in which they live, what are some of the barriers that they have, what are some preferences, and, through a number of ways, we stay current. But it's constantly evolving, and every single student is unique, and they bring a perspective that you may not have thought about. And I think that it keeps our minds open.
Yes, agreed. I agree. Well, we know you're a busy lady, so we won't keep you for much longer.
I've really enjoyed this. Nadine, any other things you want to talk about? I'm happy to do it, because it's nice to be connected.
Yes, absolutely, even though it's virtual. So I'd like to thank you for your time today. I'm sure the students will really enjoy this, and we appreciate you coming on and giving us some of your time. And we hope that you stay safe, but you somehow get out and enjoy this sun, this beautiful sun that has finally come about. And the
It's
warmth.
finally come out.
Yes.
Thanks, Nadine. You know what? I really appreciate having an opportunity to connect. And there are so many of us that are working behind the scenes to try and support our students. And it's just nice to have the opportunity to have some FaceTime, and reinforce how committed we are to our students. Know that this is a tough time, and we're all living it, but we are truly dedicated, and nimble.
Yes.
We're trying to roll with what's needed as much as possible. Nadine, I want to express my thanks to our colleagues in Athletics and Recreation for the 20 for 20. It's again, it's just it demonstrates the character of who you are, and who we are. So appreciate that, and happy to engage anytime.
Well, thanks again. Stay safe. And students, remember, we are all Sheridan Bruins.
We are indeed all Sheridan Bruins. Take care.
You too.